All right, and this is the spin, right? Spinato spin right at you. Think about it. We all remember the movie, The Christmas Story, right? Everyone remembers that. Well, how about this part? Do you remember the part about Bumpus's dogs? Think about how the dogs busted in, got the turkey, and everything was ruined in a flash. Well, what does that have to do with motivation? What does that have to do with being positive? What does that have to do about telling you a story to motivate you? Well, there's a lot to do with it. And I want to kind of get into that. The dogs are the story right here. A dog is a very, very persistent animal, isn't it? I mean, you're sitting around the kitchen table and something falls on the ground, and your dog is going to dive on that food, right? Whenever you go to open a package, whenever you go to open something that they like, they're going to be standing around waiting for their food, right? That's what dogs do. That's what Bumpus's dogs did. Now let's talk about Bumpus's dogs for a second. They waited for their opportunity. They waited for something to give them a better chance at getting what they wanted. They wanted food. Unfortunately, for the people that owned the house, they opened up the house, they opened up the door, and they left the door open, and the dogs came in. Well, think about your life. Think about your life. How often do you open up the door and stuff gets in that you probably don't want to have in? I guarantee you those people didn't want the dogs in at that time, not to ruin their turkey dinner. Well, let's talk about you. Let's talk about motivation. Let's talk about our determinations, the stuff that we're working on now. Now, I know, and it's not easy, it's more easier said than done. When you make a resolution or you make a determination, you make a proclamation, you say you're going to do something, it's hard to keep your word. But you know what happens a lot? You opened up the door and you let the dogs in. The dogs come running in, and that's your negativity. That's the part that right now you have to look into. You have to see what it is that's going to make it tougher for you. And take a look at this picture. You're going to be challenged. You're going to be challenged like you can't read about how bad it's going to be and how tough it's really going to be to make things happen for you. Now, the thing that's going to hurt you the most is your mindset. Your mindset's got to be very strong. You got to know that stuff's going to happen, and you have to have a game plan to overcome it. Now, negativity is easy to seep into the mind if you allow it to come in. You know, there's three things. There's three things that lead to a lot of problems that people have. Number one, they start to doubt themselves, right? They have, it's not so much that they have doubt, but first what they have is they're not so sure, okay? Indecision. They're on the fence. You ever hear people like that? Or they vacillate. They're not overly committed to what they want to do. Then the next thing they have is they have doubt. And you know what follows right behind doubt? Tell me if I'm wrong. Fear. And fear grips you in such a way where it's so strong and it's so tough to break free that you don't even realize that you're scared or you're not yourself. Think about a lot of things that you've challenged yourself to do, said you're going to do, and then whammo, what happens? Why didn't you do it? You got to understand that the dogs got to it, okay? The dogs definitely got to it. And also what happened was you got scared. You opened up the door to let the dogs in. The dogs are always going to be there ready to pounce, aren't they? We talked about that in the beginning. They're always ready to pounce. And you know that, and that's the truth. But that's the negativity. The dark is always trying to get in with the light, isn't it? You have the light, the dark's trying to come in. Yeah, if you want to look at the other way, you have the dark and the light wants to try to come in. But it's always the dark that tries to come in. The negativity is going to keep coming at you. You got to understand that it's going to be persistent, but the question is, are you as persistent as the enemy, as the negativity? Constantly keep yourself on guard. Like I said, the challenges will come to you. What can you do to come up with a plan to get yourself ready for that? What could they have done with the dogs? The dogs were trying to come in. Should have locked the door. Should have made sure the door was closed tight. Should have protected what they had. See, your dreams and your hopes, that's precious. You got to guard that. Don't let some negative Nancy come by and give you a hard time about what you really want to do. Don't let that happen. Don't let negative people steal your dream. You know, there's one thing I remember I saw a motivational speaker talk, and she got up there and she said, don't you let anybody ever steal your joy. Your joy is yours and yours to keep. And that joy can last you throughout your life if you guard it, if you protect it. You know, we have a little technical difficulty here, so we probably got about another 2 minutes left to go here, 2.5 minutes. But think about everything that we're doing right now. We're putting ourselves on the line. We're doing the best we can. And all of a sudden, bam, something comes by, something negative, and we're out. Can your think about this and ask yourself this. Can my enthusiasm, can your enthusiasm run as deep as a flat tire? Let's say you're fired up and you're trying to go somewhere and you're excited and you really want to go, and all of a sudden you start driving and you get a flat tire. What happens to that enthusiasm about you getting there? Where does it go? Does it go with the flat tire, or do you stay positive? Do you let the dogs come in and steal it from you? It's too precious. Don't allow yourself to be that way. I'll never forget, I went for a job interview once. This is crazy, but it's worth talking about. And I needed my phone to have with me, so I knew my directions to this job. I'd never been there before, obviously. I didn't know the location, and I wanted to make sure I had my phone with me. Do you know that I drove no more than 5 miles with my phone on top of my car? I drove 5 miles. I said, oh my God, where's my phone? And all of a sudden, I realized it was on top of my car. And I got out of my car and I said, you know what? Either whether or not it's on top of my car, it blew up, it flew away, whatever, I'm not going to let it stop me for this job interview. I'm still going to get this job, and I'm still going to do a great job. But you know, my positivity won out in that moment. Because what happened was I got out of my car and I looked, and right on the roof of on top of my car, not even above the engine, right above my head where I was driving, right on that roof, was sitting my phone. It did not fall off. Why? Because I had positivity? Who knows? Who knows what it was? But I was ready. I was determined that there was no way I was going to not get that job, and that was one of the roadblocks they were going to throw at me. I was getting by it. That's the type of attitude you got to have. You got to have that type of attitude that, you know, roadblocks, whatever they throw in front of you, they don't define you. And the bottom line is how I respond to them and how you respond to them does define you. You got to be that type of person that's up to the challenge. You got to feel good about yourself. You know, I try to make you feel as good about yourself during the couple of minutes that we get to talk to you each time out. And I'll tell you what, it's always great talking to you on the Spinato Spin, and I'll catch you next time, and have a great one, everybody.